it's 2 o'clock on the dot. So yeah, so welcome to the webinar today. We're going to be looking at the advantages of Cloud ERP and specifically Acumatica. And that's, even if you're running Acumatica already, a lot of people don't really take advantage of some of the benefits of running cloud software. So I want to kind of highlight these to you. So the topic's really about the top 5 reasons to consider making the switch. And as I say, if you already have made the switch, it's making sure that you are leveraging the benefits of Cloud ERP. Now, the benefits of Cloud ERP, a lot of people just think, well, you're in the cloud. That's not really the benefit. The benefit, you can access your system whether you're in the cloud or not. So the benefits kind of spin off from that, though. And the technology that is required to run in the cloud is also the important thing. So the top 5 reasons that I think are pertinent. So the first one is the ability to scale and the flexibility of the system to change when you need to change functionality and or users. So scale really means increased number of users and increase transaction volumes. Scale can also be the opposite, not usually, but it can be scaling back, or scaling when you need to. That's what we call scalability. The other second sort of top reason would be accessibility. So that's probably in a lot of people's mind, number one, the ability to access your Cloud ERP from any device, any type of browser, anywhere, including on a mobile device or a tablet or an Apple machine or a Windows machine, anything. So accessibility is obviously dependent on connecting to the internet, but that's kind of a ubiquitous thing, and it's only getting better. So 10 years ago, people might say, someone can just mute there. I'm just getting some feedback. You can just check that you're on mute. Thank you. So accessibility is actually improving all the time. The third benefit really is cost efficiency. So lower costs. So you don't want to invest in a system because it's going to cost you more. It's going to save you money, in essence. The fourth is automation integration. So automation is doing things without human intervention and or triggered, and integration with external systems, especially in the cloud. And lastly, security and compliance, and that's really important. Security is a hugely important topic, and compliance important because compliance ends up leading to security. So a little bit about Acumatica. It's a modern ERP. It was born this century. It was built for the cloud, so it isn't a legacy. So the word legacy really is just a bit of a derogatory term that we use to talk about other software that's old. I won't name names. So that's what in the ERP speak, we call it legacy software, maybe in computer speak. But that's what that means. So Acumatica is not legacy. It was born in the cloud and a modern technology built for, and I guess it was built for some of the stuff that wasn't even around in those days, like machine learning and AI. It's leveraging those and the connected cloud world that we're in now. So those are definitely the benefits that it was built for. So when we hear about the word cloud-driven transformation, we're talking about moving from analog to digital. So, which I think we're all doing. I think business is digital these days. Most business is digital. Sectors like banking have been digital, moving to digital for a while. And now we're getting sectors like retail, wholesale manufacturing that are moving to digital. So the world has changed and it's changing rapidly, and everything is digital. So the way we consume television is streamed these days. It's not terrestrial television like it was 5-10 years ago, and still is. Everything is moving digital, and we've got to move with the times. And Acumatica would be the product that we would look to make this digital transformation. The cloud. So Acumatica in the cloud, and Acumatica is one of the products that has different types of cloud. So I'll explain briefly. So you can run in the Acumatica cloud, software as a service or SaaS, where you basically plug in, switch on, and start using Acumatica after you've configured it for your own purposes. So it's your own configuration, but it's in the cloud, which means your security is taken care of, your backups and updates are taken care of, your access is taken care of. You can access it anywhere, any device, all the time. The uptime is taken care of. All that IT stuff. We used to have rooms of IT equipment and cables and people running around. That's all taken care of. So it's really connecting to a cloud solution. The other type of cloud is what we call hybrid or private cloud, where you're running Acumatica in the cloud, but it's your cloud. You're running on a data center in your country. So you can move the same Acumatica. We only have one version, unlike other systems where they've got different types of. So you can run on Azure, Microsoft Azure. You can run in their cloud. You can run in the AWS cloud like Acumatica does. You can go to a data center like Vodacom or Vodafone or MTN or your local telco and run there. Or you can run on your own server. So that's private cloud on premise, we call it. So there are various forms of cloud that you can deploy Acumatica to, which allows then remote collaboration, mobility, security, the open standards and scale. All of those are included. I guess the high availability, if you're running in your own server, isn't guaranteed because you're now responsible for your own server. So there is a big move to run, for people to run in the cloud, and I'll touch on those points as to why shortly. So security is probably one of them. So when you're running in the Acumatica cloud, you're guaranteed enterprise-grade security, which is things like intruder detection, for example, in our cloud. We've got those sort of tools that say who's allowed to authenticate and log in, and all that ring fencing of and security that goes around cloud software that cannot be accessed if you're not supposed to be accessing it. The world's most secure infrastructure provider, arguably, is AWS, Amazon Web Services, where the Acumatica cloud resides. Okay? So even things like backup and multi-zone DR, disaster recovery, that's all taken care of in the cloud. So behind the scenes, without you knowing it, there's many backups taking place of your data. You've got the ability also to access that data and download it even for an offsite backup. So it's really an open cloud environment, not completely closed, where you don't see your system and you haven't got access to it. Okay. So, is there a question, or are you just chatting? No question. So Acumatica is a platform. So Acumatica is actually a development platform called the XRP platform, in which Acumatica have developed an ERP system called Acumatica. It's a bit unlike other systems that are an ERP system that has some development capability. So it really is a very powerful development platform. Our ISVs and software developers utilize this very platform to develop many vertical applications for Acumatica. So it really gives us a very powerful platform where we can have a single version of the truth, a single system, doing really anything. So we've got vertical products built in Acumatica for many, many verticals. So from distribution, retail, to manufacturing, process manufacturing, discrete manufacturing, quality management, hotel management, and so on. So we go through many, many verticals. And the integrations, we're going to touch on these points again shortly, and we'll go through each of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. But in terms of the picture, what people say, what is the multi-cloud world? Well, you're using it all the time. So most of you are probably running Office 365, and you're running therefore Outlook and Exchange in there, and you're running Excel. So Acumatica connecting to that bidirectionally for purposes of, for example, approving a workflow process in an email, that's all out of the box. Okay. Likewise, the multi-cloud world would be things like platforms like Azure, where do you store documents? So document storage in Acumatica, connecting to things that are there, connecting to HubSpot for marketing, utilizing Google or Bing Maps. So again, it's more agnostic than a lot of products. We don't say we only use technology from Google. We only use technology from Microsoft. We integrate with what's popular. And guess what? Both are popular. So we work with both. So we'll work with Office 365 and we'll work with Google Docs equally with integrated systems. So something that's coming into Acumatica more and more is the AI and machine learning. And everyone's heard of that now. And most of us hadn't used the AI word 2 years ago. Now it's common knowledge, commonplace. So that whole world is, Acumatica is geared for that and is utilizing and leveraging AI and machine learning. Lastly, it is the fastest growing cloud ERP globally. That's measured over the past 8 years. It's growing rapidly. We expect it to grow even quicker over the next 3 years. So we're seeing huge growth, especially in on our continent where we're situated now in Africa, where we're seeing the next ramp up coming over the next 5-10 years, there's certainly going to be growth in the need for cloud ERP systems across our continent. So just coming to, now I'm going to get into the nuts and bolts of what, not just talking about it, and I'm going to show you, so I'll be jumping into Acumatica now and again to show you what I'm talking about. But scalability, that's difficult to show you. But what Acumatica has, we've got a no user license model. So that's quite interesting because in fact, all other ERPs that I know, accounting systems, have a user license. Acumatica has no user license. So it's a very different model. And it doesn't mean we don't have a license, we do. But our license is based on tiers of volumes of transactions. So tiers, you can see there's a S for small, M for medium, L for large, X for extra large, E for, I don't know what that means, elephant size, and P, and we go on to the right here. This doesn't end, okay? So we go up and we scale up. And what this model is about using more power on the cloud server to process more transactions. Users don't really matter to us because it actually doesn't matter if you've got 500 users and each one does one transaction every 3 days. That's what counts. Number of users doesn't matter. So that's why we don't have a user limit. We do have a recommendation because generally users don't do one transaction every 3 days. They're generally processed, but we don't differentiate. We don't say we have light users and heavy users and super users. They're users and we can enable them to do things through our security, which I'll come to. But what is the end result is the volumes of transactions. But what we do in Acumatica is we measure the maximum number of transactions in any one category. So these CTVs are really commercial transaction volumes. Okay? So for example, if you're a retail store selling things, you're going to do a lot of invoices, outbound, AR, customer invoices. But if you're a construction company, you're going to do 1 invoice a month or 2 3 or 5 invoices a month, and you're going to have a lot of accounts payable inbound invoices for materials and for subcontractors so we take the bigger of the two. So if you're a retail store and you're doing 3,000 invoices a month out to customers, you're sitting in an M1 band, okay? Call it medium 1 band. If you're a construction company and you're doing 10 sales invoices a month, but you're doing 2,500 accounts payable invoices, you're sitting in M1 band as well. But it's because of your accounts payable transactions. So that's just an illustration of, and you can move. So you can scale up, and you can do that during the year. You can say, well, our business started off at small, yeah, and now we're doing 4,500 invoices outbound a month. Acumatica is not going to switch you off, but you're going to get warnings saying, listen, you're exceeding your limits. And all it means is it's not trying to get more money out of you. It's really trying to make sure that the cloud server is enabled to process those transactions so we can unlock more resources. So the idea really is to make sure that your performance is always adequate. And that's why, but we don't know. So if you're a massive company doing 1 million invoices a month outbound, you can afford a much bigger license and you should be running a big scale system. But good news is you're running the same Acumatica that you started off with 10 years ago on S3. And now you've grown to this multinational global corporation enterprise. You're still on Acumatica. It's functionally capable of running very complex businesses. But the volumes are the things that normally knock over most ERPs. We're not scared of volume. Okay, so we'll upgrade that license as we go through. So that's really a little bit about the scalability. On flexibility, so flexibility means how do you change things as things change? So I'll give you a real life example here. So obviously you can flex the system because it's modular. We can enable or disable things. So let me hop into Acumatica for the first time here for today. And what I'm talking about here is enabling. So I type in the word enable. I'm looking at Acumatica. To enable or disable features is a flex. I'm changing the way the system works. So I'm going to say, you know what? I want to add. You can see I've got a lot of stuff already added, but I want to change. I want to do purchase receipts without inventory. It's telling me I can't do that because I've got to change something else. Or I want to implement this payroll. Okay, and if I click enable, I'm not going to do it now, but this is really flexibility. I want to take something out, something that I don't want to use anymore. I want to move that out and then enable without that piece. So this is an example of, I won't make those changes now, of flexibility and it's a very high level flexibility thing, saying change, add a new module, add a new function. So we're running Acumatica, we've got finance, and now we've decided we want to implement inventory management. So we put that in, we enable it. And then we want to enable warehouse management. So and again, the license, you'll purchase the the rights to use the warehouse management system if you don't have it yet. If you do have it included in your bundle of enablements, you just switch it on. If you don't, you within an hour get the license, enable it. Yeah. So the flexibility really about enabling components or disabling them and the other way around is really, really important. Yeah. So it's one of the things that, again, makes Acumatica pretty different. So everything is there, and we're switching on or switching off what we want or don't want in terms of functionality. So number two, drilling into a bit of cloud-based accessibility. So remote access, all our customers, when COVID, we've forgotten about COVID now because it was like a bad dream, but when COVID hit, our customers that were on Acumatica already were saying, calling me and saying, we're so grateful, so happy that we put in Acumatica a year, 2 years, or 3 years ago, because everyone's at home and they're carrying on as normal. There's no difference. And because Acumatica has the built-in document management and the built-in process management, and you can be on your phone or on the laptop, on a browser, it doesn't matter. Everyone carried on doing their jobs. In fact, our Acumatica systems improved because people said, hang on. I used to walk down the passage, and even I'm using Acumatica, I still printed out the purchase order, walked down, took quarter lift down to the second floor to get someone to sign, or sorry, normally the other way around, quarter lift up to the 12th floor where the top management sits to ask them to sign and approve a purchase order. Okay? Now you're at home with Acumatica and you pick up the phone and say to me or somebody, hey, can we do this electronically? I say, sure, of course we can. Yes, click here, switch it on, set up your email delegation of authority of who gets to approve what, and it's automatic. It'll send an email to somebody. They'll get the login to approve. They'll approve the purchase order electronically. They'll attach a document if they need to, and it's done electronically. So those type of things started to happen during COVID because people needed to leverage the connected world where you're actually remote, like we are today, but you're doing things in collaboration across the cloud. Likewise, cloud-based accessibility these days also applies to the phone, and the phone is an app. So on the phone, you can't really use a browser. You can, it's a bit small. So Acumatica gives you the app for free included, so you don't never pay for it, to allow you to do anything. So I literally mean anything that you can do in Acumatica on the browser, you can do on the app, including viewing dashboards, including doing approvals, including processing a transaction or adding new data. So whatever you're allowed to do, and it's secure, it's like your bank. So think of, people think, well, it's dangerous, you're on an app, but the phone has become like a little vault in terms of that you can trust it with your bank and that only you can log in. We've got the same thing. We've got the same two-factor authentication. Use your Face ID to log in, biometric. Two-factor means if something has to have a second approval by you, it'll send you an SMS to approve or a two-factor component to approve. All that security you get, for example, with your banking app, you get with Acumatica. It's all included. Okay? So the two access points being any browser, any machine, or any device, whether it be Android or iOS, is all out-the-box standard. And very, very useful. So push notifications that arrive on people's phones are useful. So Acumatica, we can do what we call notifications to say, if something happens, tell me. Because the old days of looking at reports to see what's happened and sifting out what's an anomaly, those days are over. Push notifications, say if something happens, and I'll define what that something is, tell me. How do you tell somebody? Well, you do a push notification. Like your bank does, if you go over your limit on your account, you get a very quick notification. There's no one sitting there. It's automatic. But it says, hey, Bernard, how are you doing? Bad news, you've gone over your limit. Okay? I'll get a push notification. So the same thing applies to Acumatica. So it's just the way we expect things to happen these days. So that's talking about that aspect. Another aspect really is what we call continuous close. And that's maybe a new term to a lot of people. And again, it's possible with Acumatica to move to what we call continuous accounting. So in not the old days, right now, most companies at best close their books once a month, wait at best a day or two, normally longer. And then they print out reports and send people reports, and it's called the month end. Okay. Now, what we're moving towards continuous close is able to happen with systems that can automate repetitive tasks, like Acumatica. So automating your bank, in other words, your upload of your bank statement automatically at 5 a.m., getting Acumatica to automatically process all those bank transactions and reconcile everything that it can, which is like 80, 90%. Create automatic transactions of things that it can, which is another 8%, leaves 2% not done, which it automatically moves to a holding point so that you've got a cash projection ready for you to look at 8 a.m., okay? Or probably sooner if it did it at 5 a.m. Live. So you've got live information. The same applies to all the other things. So if you're doing debtors and invoicing and progress billing on projects and all those things that happen that normally hold up a month end, receipting of debtors, payment of creditors automatically when the system knows it's got to pay, pushing that through to the bank, bringing it back for reconciliation. This starts to move towards what we call continuous close accounting, and it's a huge benefit. That means that when people log into Acumatica and when they look at this dashboard, it's real time, and we can set up what do we mean, but which widgets do you want real time? So this one is real time. It says refresh on page reload, but I can also slow it down and say I don't need to see it real live. I can see it 4 hours old as well. Now, you would do that to stop putting a big load on the system. If every widget on a dashboard was real time, it'd be great, but it's unnecessary. So we know that 4 hours ago, our debtors book was 9.3 million, and it's gone red, which means it's too high. Okay. So that's what these dashboard widgets are about. It's looking at real-time information, and these dashboards can be many sorts of things. So let's look at if you're the warehouse manager, you'd get a different set of tools, and these are just example dashboards in Acumatica, but it's real-time information. It's real, and I suppose the continuous close would be the financial controller or management of the company. They want this up-to-date information all the time. So I want to know how my company's doing all the time. I don't want to wait till month end and wait a week or two to find out what we did last month. That's too late. I want to make proactive decisions based on what is happening right now, and based on alerts, so push notifications or widgets that are changing color. Okay, so I can drill in and see what is trending up or down, what is out of sync, what is out of line, and take action on it immediately in the system like this. Okay, so I'm looking at information here that's represented on a dashboard. So really, that's what this real-time view is about, or continuous close accounting. So that's a benefit, and it's kind of linked to automation and integration. So integration to the bank, automation of the processing is a good example. So automation and integration often go together to allow us to have real-time information of debtors, of creditors, of cash flow expected to go out of the company, of budgets and spend, of inventory movements, of stock on hand, all that information. So there's accounts payable information, who do we owe that we overdue on, customers that are on credit hold. You can see this company has got a lot of people overdue, only one on hold. As you can see the problem, if you're a management, I would say, hey, there's a problem here. Our credit control departments, well, our settings in Acumatica for automatic credit hold are not stringent enough. Let's tighten this up. Okay, you can see that here. So the idea is having real-time information is a massive benefit. So going back to our presentation, cost efficiency. So I always say to people, if you're putting in a system, whatever it is, why are you putting it in if it's not going to save you money? How does it save you money? Well, if the system was free and it really did a lot of work for you, it would be saving you money. But most systems that are really good are not going to be free. So beware of freeware. So I hear people saying, oh, there's this free ERP system. It's free. I asked them a year later, was it really free? And I said, well, it was free, but then we paid a lot of money in support. And when we went down, no one could help us. So if you factor those costs in, it's not really free. But I'm talking about free software. I'm saying low. It's going to give you a return on investment, an ROI. So one of the nice things with subscription billing that Acumatica has, so in the old days, and I'm pretty, I would say I'm old, pretty old, because I've been around ERP for 25 years, so I must be pretty old. In the early days with ERP, we used to sell an ERP system for a huge upfront amount, okay? And there wasn't even a subscription for license at all. Then it changed a bit to a huge upfront amount plus an annual subscription. They used to call it maintenance, which was nonsense because there wasn't much maintenance you got for that. Okay? Acumatica has gone for a much better model, which is like renting a car. So it's pay per use. So subscription is a much lower, there's no upfront amount. It's really just subscription. It's pay per use means you pay for what you're using, which can go up or go down. It's a bit like renting a car. The reason car rental is the cheapest way to travel when you're traveling is because it's subscription based. If you had to buy a car and sell it every time you wanted a car, it wouldn't be a workable model. So subscription is the way a lot of things are going. It gives you certainty, and you can plan. You know what your cash flow is going to look like, and it's everyone sharing those costs in it. And subscription software is way better. I prefer it. Right? So whether it's music streaming software or ERP, subscription is the way to go. Okay? So those of you that use Tidal or Spotify for music, you'll understand that. In the old days, you'd go and buy. My old days, you'd buy an LP, a record. Okay, then we bought CDs, and then we bought, I suppose that was the last thing. And then we started moving to digital streaming. So you don't have those things anymore. You don't go and spend $220 on a CD or 200 Rand on a CD, and it gets broken and scratched, or you lose it, your friend borrows it. You stream. If you want music, and it costs you $100 a month, and you get unlimited music, the whole world, music from any era, stream to you. That's the way to go. And Acumatica is like, think of it like that. Okay. The second point is reduced IT spend. So again, even if you go on premise, Acumatica is going to cost you way less because it's a cloud-based software on your own cloud. So it's not the old client server. You don't have to maintain desktops. You don't update things on. Remember the old days where you do an upgrade, and you had 100 machines. Each machine had to be upgraded. That's crazy. So you're at least getting the benefit of the cloud software on your own server, but the real benefit will be when you're running in the Acumatica SaaS. And the interesting thing is it costs the same. So it's free. So it's almost a no-brainer to say, well, should we go on premise and buy our own $10,000 server and hire 3 people to look after it in white coats, or should we go SaaS? Do our own backups and be liable if someone hacks us, and vulnerable, not liable, vulnerable and liable. But going SaaS is a no-brainer, and we're seeing a huge move to running in the Acumatica cloud SaaS, but it's not mandatory. Okay? The second thing with IT spend is Acumatica, unlike legacy ERP, has a much lower need for technical, especially technical and functional support. It's a really stable system. It doesn't break, doesn't fall over, don't have database errors, and what do you call them? I can't remember the name. We used to spend our lives doing database repairs on client service ERP. I'm talking 10 years ago. Okay? Other ERP that is a client server, always doing high need for support. We had, you always had consultants running around. If you had to do an upgrade, you have a team of consultants for a month to do the upgrade, or 2 or 3. With Acumatica, it's nothing like that. Excuse me. So the need for technical support and functional support, because the system is intuitive, it's easy to use. It takes that need away. And we find instead of doing support for Acumatica, we rather spend our time doing proactive things like, what should we do this quarter? Well, let's implement some automation that we're not using in Acumatica. Let's get people to start using their mobile devices, and let's do push notifications to them in Acumatica. Let's spend money on that. Get those things in place. Not on the software, but on getting them in, configuring them. Okay, the software you've got already. So that's what we spend our time doing, rather than fixing broken things, because they don't happen. Wouldn't say don't. I'd be lying if I said they never happen. That things can break. People can break things. They'll try, but it's a very low level of frequency that happens. So even the training. So Acumatica Open University, that I'll click on here, is actually available to you right now. So you're not an Acumatica client, no worries. You've got access to this for free. Okay, so you just need to create an account and sign in. You need a single sign-on account like a Gmail. Okay, And once you're into this environment, have a look at this. So let's go to finance. So I'm saying I want to learn about finance. I want to become an implementation consultant on basic finance for Acumatica. So on the right here, you'll notice in the Open University, it says download the PDF, the training guide. Okay? That gives you all the notes about how to do the training. Secondly, download the files for training. Those are the examples that you're going to use when you actually install Acumatica. Now, guess what? Download Acumatica for free. You have to buy anything. And what you're going to get is a full Acumatica system like this. If you guys can see the bottom of my screen, it says your product is in trial mode. Only 2 concurrent users are allowed. So it's a full working Acumatica. You can do whatever you like with it, okay? But it's free. And Acumatica is saying to you, download it. No worries. Don't have to pay for it. How to install it? Download the installation guide. It'll tell you how to install it on your laptop or on your server, wherever you're going to put it. And then go ahead and start looking at what you want to do. So you might say, well, I want to do the basic financial information courses. And they'll pop up here. And at the bottom will be, these are the videos. Okay, so you'll go and look at the basic financial. You watch videos. It'll tell you right now, go into your Acumatica, use this file to capture the following information and practice. Okay, so it's phenomenal that you're getting all this for free. Okay, there's also past webinars that you can look at here, which are videos that you can watch about many topics. A lot of information. Okay, all contained in the Open University. So just be well aware of that. I mean, nobody else that I know of offers this. Okay, we've got all this information, webinars, job aids, which are things that you can use to do your job better, whatever you're doing. So if you're paying people, if you're collecting money, you can go into these job aids, and it'll give you information that you can download. You can see all this documentation here. So it's a fortune of information included, and that's all free. Okay. All right. So back to the presentation. Found it. All right. So that's around cost efficiency. So you can start to see if you're putting Acumatica in for the first time and we're implementing, we can just point everybody to the Open University and say, right, if you're doing debtors, here's all the courses you should go and have a look at. Just go and do them. You can do it in your own time, do it at home, log in and do your practice and courses long before we go live. It's really a benefit. Number 4, integration and automation. So integration, people often think of as, and I'm going to show you these tools we've got. We've got fantastic tools to do custom integration. So what is custom integration? It's okay, we're running Acumatica, but we're going to keep running another CRM, even though Acumatica's got a CRM, because we've got so much information there, we don't want to migrate it now. We want to integrate to another CRM. So think of something like Salesforce. Okay, and we'll migrate to Acumatica CRM later, but we want to use Salesforce and continue using Salesforce because we've got a lot of invested money in it, and our salespeople will have it, etc., etc. So there we would use this thing called web services to develop an integration. But first thing we'd probably do is go and have a look if there's an external application already, these data providers and external applications that already are configured for Acumatica. And we'll have a look there first, because it might be something that's already configured, like Microsoft Office. Okay? We don't have to go and develop integration because it's there. We just switch it on. So this Acumatica out-of-the-box integration, like integration to Excel, we don't have to configure that. It's there, right? Integrate to Microsoft Teams, the thing we're on now, built into Acumatica. You have integration to Teams, Office 365. DocuSign, if you want to get electronic, you want to send out documents straight from Acumatica by email with electronic signature required, integrate with Doc. We've got the integration built, so you don't need to go and do that from scratch. And many other applications. So I'm going to pop in and just show you what that looks like. So if we go into Acumatica integration part, you'll see web hooks and web services. I can go and look at external applications and see if there's anything available there. Okay. So these are other applications. That says Exchange Online, Office 365 Connector. I was talking about that just now. Or I might say, let's see if there's a data provider for Salesforce, which I just spoke about. I don't know if it's here. I'm going to check now. And I'll type in the word sales. Oh yeah, Salesforce Sync. There we go. So there's an integrator. We may want to modify it or not, I'm not sure. But you can see there's a sync setup ready to use in Acumatica for Salesforce. Okay. And it's busy loading it now. Tokenized schemas, all this stuff. So back to my point is, yeah, you can have a look for existing integrations to things, or we can develop them. And our developers will put an integration. So what was the example I was giving you? CRM. Okay. So let's go to CRM and say we're going to integrate our lead generation or opportunities from Salesforce, or from some custom system into Acumatica, right? And how we do that. So most ERP systems, you wouldn't know where to start. We call that under the bonnet. You have to go, you've got to be a developer, first of all, to find out how the hell would I integrate Salesforce opportunities into an Acumatica screen called opportunities. Look, don't get me wrong, you still need a developer, but the access to information is going to be very, very easy. Okay. So I'm just going to load this opportunities screen here. Okay. So let's open up any opportunity in Acumatica. And I'm looking at a screen. And if I'm allowed, if I've got security rights, which the developer will have, they're allowed to go into tools and they're allowed to click on web service. Now, what that looks very simple, but what that does, it gives the developer what we call the whistle, the way you integrate with web services from one system to the other. And this technology speeds up integration work from, I used to say, from months to weeks, from weeks to days, and from days to hours. Okay, so what used to take a day will now take an hour. What used to take a week will now take a day. And this is the whistle service description. So I'm not going to dig further. I'm not technical, and this is not a technical session, but I know for sure that what I see in practice is developers, once they've worked with Acumatica, they go, wow, this is amazing technology to integrate with compared to what I used to use and the legacy stuff we used to do. So again, that's a cost factor. So everything's looped in here. It makes you more productive because you integrate it. It costs you much less money, cost factor. And it enables things like automation. So, everything's kind of linked, and I'm looking at these in isolation, but they all kind of link together. So integration, and the next topic is automation. So integrating to a bank, okay, through Acumatica integration, and automatically processing things like transactions. So let's jump into that. So the system offers robust. You notice I don't read PowerPoint, so I probably should read them a bit more. So I'm not reading my own PowerPoint, but you can read it. But I'm talking about the system offers robust automation features, and there's many, many, many in there. I'd rather show you than talk about them. If you go into any module in Acumatica, purchase orders, wherever you see the word process, this is automation. Okay, automatically create purchase orders is an automation. How do you know something's an automation in Acumatica? I'll show you now. Okay. Because when I log into an automation, there's going to be a little clock at the top. That's supposed to be a clock. Okay? It's a little egg timer clock. And on the automation, I can actually tell Acumatica what must it do, when must it do it. Okay. You can see it says, start running this thing in my time zone that I'm in. Here's the schedule. I want you to do it every week or every day. I want you to do it at a certain time. And I can put conditions on it to say, except where you find this. So I'm saying, create purchase orders automatically every hour, every day, unless the value on the purchase order is bigger than X. Okay, it's bigger than 100,000. So conditional automation, set it up, it runs. You don't have to think about it again. It's going to run by itself. Okay, every module has them. You'll see under any module, you'll see accounts payable processes. I was talking about banking. Let's go to banking. We call banking. So import bank transactions, process bank transactions. That's an automation. Okay. Release those transactions. Close periods, automation. So remember we spoke about continuous close. So if Acumatica is processing things and closing the period for you, or in the period you can define when that close is, it can do that automatically for you, and it can then generate reports, etc. So everything around automation, every module. If you go to inventory, you'll see automation. Okay. Processes, where we see the word process, automation. So that's happening throughout the system all the time, and that is kind of what leads to efficiency, security. Believe it or not, doing things automatically is far better than doing it manually. Why? Because it's consistent. So even if you set it up wrong and the automation is not the way you wanted it to work, you can change, you can fix it because it's consistent. Whereas if you do things manually, it's all, anything can happen. Because manually means people can decide, I'm going to change the way I'm doing it today and do it another way. I want to forget to do it. Well, I'm going to leave it for 2 weeks. It's not consistent. So I think the key message around automation is it's much more secure to automate things than to leave it up to people. Okay? I know that we can go down that road about AI. AI is good and bad, and using it to do mundane, boring things securely is a good thing. Okay, so using AI, I read something yesterday on LinkedIn of somebody saying, I don't want AI to do art for me and write and create music and write novels, so I have time to wash dishes and clean the house. Okay, I want AI to wash dishes and clean the house, so I've got more time to paint and make music and write novels. Okay, so think of it that way around. Okay, so AI can be good and bad, but automation is good. Automation is good. All right. Final point here. Okay, and it's probably the most boring. Everyone's with security and compliance. Compliance really sounds boring. Okay, security, yeah, you know about it. It's boring, but it's important. So security, and I'll show you some of the stuff. So Acumatica has things like data encryption. So your transmitted data is encrypted. Okay. Why is WhatsApp? Who doesn't use WhatsApp is more the question. Everyone. The reason WhatsApp's been so popular and successful is because it's encrypted. They call it end-to-end encryption. Now, Acumatica is like that. So you can't intercept a WhatsApp message and unencrypt it. It's encrypted. You can't intercept Acumatica data and it's encrypted. You cannot do it. Okay. So data encryption is important. Security updates are important. The fact that Acumatica is always updating on the platform, and compliance, because compliance is only there to create security, okay, for people and machines. What is people security? Things like privacy, and the fact that Acumatica has got the GDPR and POPI type information built into its fabric. So protecting people through security, protecting your data through security. Okay. So storing credit card information. Is Acumatica compliant? Yes. PCI, we call it. PCI compliant means only certain software is allowed to store credit card information, because if a hacker gets in and it's not compliant, they can steal it. Okay. So our data is secure, and we've got compliance that leads to that. All right. User security. Most people think of security as what's your password. Okay. Acumatica is far deeper than that. Okay. So we've got enterprise grade stuff that you expect to see in big, expensive ERP systems, and you probably will see, hopefully. We've got that in Acumatica. So it's enterprise grade and class leading. So it's the best. So things like AD, Active Directory, and Azure AD, for example, and AD on AWS, and single sign-on. I've got a spelling mistake there. Okay. You can see I did these slides myself, so this is not copied from anywhere, but there's a spelling mistake. That's me. But single sign-on is really things like using any single sign. So you might say our users are allowed to use Microsoft AD, but they might be allowed to use their Gmail single sign-on accounts or their Facebook single sign-on accounts. Those are trusted. That's why many applications allow single sign-on, and 2FA means two-factor authentication. So let's jump in a little bit into where security happens in Acumatica. So I can type in the words. So, how we navigate in Acumatica as well. I can go to more items and look at configuration or user security. I can go that way. So let's dive in there. So user security. So we've got users. We've got security preferences. Okay. So preferences for Acumatica at a very high level. In my Acumatica system for my company, I say force users to change their password every 90 days. You can see it's a policy. Maximum password length, 5 characters. Password must meet complexity, like your bank. You can, and the nice thing with Acumatica is, he says a little question mark popped up when I said password must meet complexity requirements, and that little question mark there is saying, hey, maybe you want to know what that means because it sounds complex. So complexity requirements mean, at a simple level, we've got to use at least one uppercase, at least one special character, like your bank tells you. Okay. But it can mean other things as well. You must have a digital certificate signing. You must have other things. Okay. So we've got all sorts of clever tools in here, including a validation mask, incorrect password alerts. Your password is wrong. You put a message in. Try again. Two-factor authentication required for unknown. So Acumatica even tracks. If I log into Acumatica on my iPhone, believe it or not, Acumatica picks up all my iPhone data, those IEM numbers, I don't know what they're called, that registration number of your phone, who you are, because your device, like I said, is a vault. It's like your bank trusts your device. It doesn't trust you. It trusts your phone. So, and that's why phones have gone and put in things like biometric, because the bank trusts your phone, not you, but it trusts you and the phone together with biometric. Okay. And that's why if someone steals your phone these days, there's a good chance if you've equipped it with a biometric, using either fingerprint or your face biometrics to authenticate that it is you. Okay, but the bank trusts your phone, and so does Acumatica. Hence, asking you unknown devices. So if you log in with another phone, it's going to say, "I don't know your phone. I'm going to send you an email with a code that you've got to put in." Okay, it's two-factor or an SMS. So that's something that, again, you need these days to make a system secure. If you try 3 times and you get locked out, or we might say, I'll make it stricter 2 times. Okay. I hate those things. Sometimes I do get my password wrong. So I'd prefer 4 times. When you get locked out, you think, oh no. So same with Acumatica, it'll lock you out. Okay. And then you've got to email the administrator and say, hey, help me, I'm locked out. Okay. But nice news, I can say, only lock them out for 30 minutes. And then they can try again. Okay. You can see, so these rules make it easier. We don't have to keep emailing me. So just hang on, just wait 30 minutes, or make it kinder, 5 minutes. Okay. So this sort of information, okay, is high level. But underneath, you can see that's just security preferences. But if we go right down to users and access by role and access, so we can, in Acumatica, decide who's allowed to do what on what screen and what fields they can see or not see and what they can edit or not edit on everything. And we normally do it not by user, but by role. Why? Because less maintenance. So you might have a role called accounts payable supervisor. So if the person resigns, you get a new accounts payable supervisor. You just link the user to the role instead of setting up every security thing for that user. Okay. So the login for the user will be, let's take this guy. He's a general employee type. Okay. His name. Remember I spoke about devices. If he logs in with his phone, it'll automatically pick up his device here. And I can even tell Acumatica to track him on his device and say, track this guy. We have to tell him. Every 5 minutes, somebody to track within 250 meters, where is he? Okay. During working hours. So, that's partially security. You might call that invasion of privacy, but there might be a reason why we want to track people and their devices. It's for security. Okay. Which email accounts that belongs to him, the personal settings for this person. IP filter, we could put an IP filter is kind of a security thing as well, to say we've got fixed IP addresses and we want to enable them so you can't just log in from anywhere. Okay. External identities, that will be that single sign-on. Okay. He's also known as Mike A on Facebook, and he's got an external identity which you could use for a login. So you can see I'm not going to go through all this now. It's not a demo, but there's a lot of information, including audit. In Acumatica, we've got a thing called audit. And any field, if you tick audit, deep audit in Acumatica, so you've got audit trails is normal, but audit means if somebody changes this field, I want to know what time down to the second was it changed from to what, who was logged in, who did it. It's a real audit down to a level of detail. Okay. So it's a very powerful security feature. And I'm not going to go into all these now for time perspective. So security and compliance. So, and compliance, I'm going to go into now quickly, and I'm not going to show it to you because that's really boring. Okay. But why is compliance important? Someone asked me last week, are you guys SOC 2 compliant and SOC 1 compliant? And SOC compliance really just means that Acumatica is audited periodically. Okay, you can see here it was first audited in 2016, and annually there's a global standard that says this is a secure system that comply with SOC 2, for example. Okay, it just gives you, so underneath, it's probably a book you could read on what is SOC 1 and SOC 2 about. But the important thing is to know, yes, it's compliant. Okay, that's important. Likewise, Acumatica SaaS, we're getting a whole lot of compliancy that's built in there because it's a global best-of-breed cloud infrastructure. They've got, and again, you can go onto AWS and just click compliancy, and you'll get a whole lot of information on their website. Okay, I'm not going to go through that now. Important to know that we're leveraging that. And the compliance is things like I spoke about PCI. So all this is like what do you call it? Gobbledygook, okay? It's jargon, but PCI is that credit card authority that says you're allowed to store credit card information in Acumatica because you're PCI compliant. Okay? GDPR is around privacy. So GDPR is the most stringent privacy rule, I think, in the world. It's Europe. The Eurozone is GDPR. And most countries, like South Africa, model themselves on similar. So we've got POPIA here. Australia will have their own. United States probably be the most. They're less stringent on privacy. But Europe, very stringent. So GDPR compliance is important to make sure that Acumatica has those things. Okay. So here's a little example quickly on what do you mean by compliance on GDPR? Well, if we go into a customer record in Acumatica, for example, so it's about, is their data secure? But it's a bit more than that. It's, have they opted in? Okay. So here's an opt-in. It says consented to the processing of personal data. Okay. When did they consent? When does the consent expire? Well, maybe it does expire. Okay. So that we can send notifications. And if they've got something they've signed, we want to attach that document into our document management component of Acumatica. Just to say, here's what they signed. Okay. I'll upload my boarding pass. Okay. Upload that. So there's a document they signed. Okay. So that it's stored in our, and again, in Acumatica, when you upload a document, it is secured. Okay. It's been secured through Acumatica's rules about this document is secured. Here you can see it. Okay. I've got to check it out. I've got access rights around this document. This is the compliancy certificate they signed. I'm not going to, so you're seeing some of the, what I'm doing is going to show you this personal privacy area, but you see the power of what's happening. Okay. If I go into contacts in Acumatica, they'll have personal privacy tick boxes there. Is this person opted in? So I'm showing you real life examples of what I'm talking about. It's not just words, it's real. And you won't find a lot of this in many systems. So there's the GDPR, POPIA, whatever you want to call it, information around a person who's a contact at a customer. Right, so let's jump back here. I suppose the conclusion really is switching to a proper cloud ERP. I'm obviously saying like Acumatica, and there are others, moving off legacy systems will provide medium-sized and growing businesses to a scalable, cost-effective, and efficient solution compared to the legacy. So those are the advantages of moving to cloud. I mean, getting a data statement, get that from any system, having it emailed automatically out of the system, that's the benefit. Okay. So doing the allocation of a receipt that you see in your bank, that's ERP, anyone can do it. Having it automatically uploaded for you and matched and allocated to the correct data, that's automation, that's cloud. So the benefits are there's many, but if you look right through the whole system, that's why you're going to migrate to Acumatica. Not because it looks nice or the screens look nice or it's a browser. That's not a benefit. Okay? Because it's doing things automatically for you, because it's secure, because it's easy to use, it's stable, it's always up, it's always available, gives you information timelessly. That's why you're going to move to Acumatica. And the benefits are throughout. So you've got cost savings and you've got revenue increases equals ROI. So yeah, are there any questions on the topic today? If there's any, you can also email them to me. There's my email. If you want to chat further and have a look at anything specific, mail me. Happy to go online with anybody anytime. In fact, if you go on our website, you can actually book a meeting on the website. So just go on the website and say, book a meeting. That comes to me. It'll pop into my calendar automatically and we can book a meeting. So you can do that without emailing me. So there's an automation. Okay? You don't need to email me. You can book it yourself. self-service on our website. It's erp365.co.za. And so meeting, I'd like to meet. Okay, you'll see it on the website. Book a meeting with pleasure. Any questions? That doesn't sound like it. All right, great. So I'm going to end the webinar there. Thanks very much for attending and look forward to hearing from you hopefully soon.